Welcome to Gameday 716. We are here with Gameday CJ. We are here with Gameday Noah and Todd, your host, friend, everything. What's up, CJ?
Nothing much. How you guys doing? I was just thinking about that intro, and I'm just thinking in my head, like when that happened with Josh, when he's waving at the guys, like, and the ref comes over to him, and he's like, okay, stop doing that. Yeah. The ref grabs him, and he's like, no, I was waving to my family in the stands or something.
Yeah. He was definitely talking back to the ref, like, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna switch it up now that it's not as relevant to the Dolphins or the. I suppose it's relevant to the Jets, but so we're coming off a nice Jets victory of 45-17 with the Jets points all coming in garbage time. We're gonna kick off the show with a little rapid fire. But Noah's gonna walk away, so we're gonna keep filling time until.
Yeah, I did. It was on purpose.
I like our intro song.
Yeah, I think it's good. I like the ending, how it gets more intense as it gets closer to.
Yeah. I can't wait till Paul raps, though.
I was waiting on you.
I'll rap next time.
All right.
No, we're all gonna rap in our song. So, our opening intro. So we're all gonna get some lines, and that's gonna be good. What's up?
Nothing.
You all right?
No.
Trouble in paradise?
No, I'm just trying to get everything organized. That's all.
Gotcha.
I had everything organized. Now it's not organized.
Noah was yelling at me about being prepared, and now apparently I made him unprepared by.
You did. This is all your fault.
Yeah, see, it is my fault. I figured. So we're getting there. Rapid fire's up. We'll start with you, CJ, and I'll talk slowly. So we'll give Noah some time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, CJ, would you still work if you didn't have to?
No. That's an easy question.
It's easy for me, too.
I would find something else to, like, occupy my time, but I definitely wouldn't want a boss telling me what to do if I didn't have to.
Yeah. I totally hear that. Someday when game day becomes number one, and we're all fighting for who the president is, then we'll.
Yeah.
And we're all stuck in court, but Noah,
Yeah.
Are you hungry?
I'm always hungry.
What's your favorite food?
Oh boy. I'll go with like chicken parm.
Chicken parm?
Yeah.
That's fair. I don't know. I like eggplant parm. That's high up there.
Yeah.
I also like Nino's pizza from the Hamburg Nino's. You got a favorite food, CJ?
I'm a big pizza guy, but I'm a Bob and John's fan. North Buffalo.
Buffalo. Yeah. I don't know anything above like I don't know. There's like a Mason-Dixon line in Erie County, right?
Yeah,
Where
for
it's
sure.
like the North Towns don't know the
I was
South
gonna say
Towns and the
Niagara Falls
South Towns.
Boulevard and Sheridan Drive, and then everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. Yeah, it
For
seems
sure.
to be that way. That's kind of funny. So
Okay.
so this kind of goes into number one, but not really. CJ, if you had $1 million, what would you do with it? Because I don't know if that's enough to like not work, but
Yeah, I mean, I would. I mean, I guess if I could do anything I'd want to do, I would definitely buy like a couple 100,000 viewers for our show, and then we would move right up there real fast, and that would be ideal for me.
that's the spirit. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah,
that's what we love about our team in general, because we don't kick people out, we don't go behind each other's backs like some other fanatics out there.
Make people feel unwanted. No, none of that.
No, that's not what we are. We are a tight-knit group. We are not from Buffalo or fanatics or
we are.
Yes, we're just not putting the two words together. Yeah. So Noah, or maybe this is for both of you. What's your best pickup line? What was your best pickup line?
I don't know.
Is there a mirror in your jeans? Because I see myself in them.
Oh, is that the one you used to?
No.
I thought
I don't really have one. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It doesn't work actually, so I guess
no, it never works. It's always hello.
Yeah,
like that's the best way to go about it. So for all you viewers out there trying to figure out, what to do with your love life, if you're ever going out there, don't use a pickup line. Just go up and say hello. Hello. So I don't know whose turn it is, but Noah, do you believe in karma?
Yes. 100%.
Yes.
100%.
100%. CJ, do you believe in destiny?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I mean, I don't want to say that everything's like predetermined, but I think that your decisions obviously affect what comes in the future. So, it depends on kind of like how with the karma thing, like they're very interchangeable, right? So I can say it's either karma or, like I'm trying to do something good to bring something good in the future. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I get that. That all makes sense.
Kind
of. CJ, I'm going back to you on this one.
All right.
If you could be any celebrity, who would it be?
Oof. Any celebrity, who would it be? Man, do sports players count or no?
Let's go with entertainment.
All right. Any celebrity, who would it be? Man, that's so tough. All right. We're gonna go with. God, I don't even I think of music, and I have so many different ones that I enjoy that it's hard for me to pick one that I'd be like, I don't know.
Pick two. I'll let you pick two.
All right. We're going with number one. My wife just said Elton John. I think that was a terrible pick. I'm not going with that. I did look for her for an answer, but that was awful.
That's a hilarious answer, though.
Sean McDermott. No.
Okay. No. Right. No.
Entertainment, and he's not.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
I don't know. And then okay, we'll do real entertainment. There you go, Brad Pitt. That's a good one. I'd be
Brad
him.
Pitt.
Yes, I'd be
That's
him.
pretty solid. DiCaprio's solid.
Yeah,
right
that's
up there. Yeah, that would be the life.
If
You
we're
got
going with
one?
movies, which movies I like better? It's
Celebrity would I want to
definitely
be? Is that the question?
It's definitely who?
if it's DiCaprio. About movies I like better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like DiCaprio's made a lot better movies.
Yeah. It says you're disconnected.
Yeah, I'm always disconnected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a celebrity? If you could be any celebrity, who would it be? If you could celebrify.
Any celebrity. I think I'm gonna
Hold
be
on
like
one second,
The
guys.
Weeknd.
Okay. We'll fill time.
I think I want to be like The Weeknd.
The Weeknd?
Yeah.
You think he lives a good life?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
I
I have no clue.
a lot of parties.
He hangs out with Angelina Jolie a lot. That seems fun. I don't know.
Selena Gomez, you know,
That's true.
Gigi Hadid.
That's fair. I would be Betty White.
Why?
Not really. No.
Okay. We got
Noah said he would be The Weeknd.
Ooh, I'm mad. I'm jealous. I want that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You trendy kids. Damn it.
I know. I was stuck. So
should we just move on?
I said Betty White, so that's who I'm going with.
That's like
She is kind of like legendary, to be honest.
Exactly. So CJ, are you an early or a late person?
Late. I don't do nope, not a morning person whatsoever.
Noah?
Yeah, I'm always late, and that's your
Yeah.
fault. So
Yeah, I taught you that. But
Yeah, I'm not punctual. I feel as though I don't know. I feel as though that like my time is like specific to me as your time is specific to you. So if there's something going on, then you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
be all right with it.
See, my mom calls the way that I live Todd time. So like if I'm late, it's because I'm on Todd time and not on normal. I always say it's the time zones. So Noah, what would you give a 10 out of 10? Anything in life? That's viewer and podcast sensitive.
A Bills Super Bowl or a Stanley Cup or both. Honestly, both.
I would give Todd's weekend answer a 10 out of 10 or Noah's weekend answer.
Yeah,
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Feel the love.
that's solid.
Yeah.
CJ, can you climb a fence?
I can.
Can
I
you
can
do
climb
it running
it, but I
from
can't get down.
running from the police? No, I'm kidding. Have you ever tried that? So would you rather spend extra money on a house or a car?
A house. No question.
That's
From
fair.
the investment standpoint, it's just makes more
That
sense.
makes sense. That's it for rapid fire.
Woohoo.
We have fired away. We hit each other with our best shot.
Hungry?
Why? Dad. All right, let's just
I'm a dad.
Yeah,
Dad jokes.
yeah, let's just move on.
All right. So Bills, Jets, Buffalo 45, New Jersey 17. Highlights. CJ, what did you take away from it?
We went into last week kind of or into the weekend, I forgot we had it on Saturday, but we went in on the weekend. We kind of just talked, or I was talking about steps in the right direction, and again, that's exactly what you wanted to see this week coming out. Yeah, the score makes it seem like they put up some points, but really it wasn't. It wasn't till the end of the game. It wasn't important. It didn't matter at that point.
Yeah.
You just really wanted to see the offense start getting back to what we've seen in last year. You know what I mean? And we've seen, I don't want to say that they haven't been the same as last year, because we have seen times where they have been, but at the same time, what we're used to from last year, we just haven't been getting. So I think getting Diggs on the right track, getting defense played very well, all those things. Again, steps in the right direction, so that when we get to the playoffs, this nonsense that's been happening the past couple weeks, we can just get out of our system, and hopefully from now just move forward and just keep getting better and better.
Did it seem like they were being more focused and more on that, like, professional, what were we saying, not as fun loving kind of?
Yeah, it was all business. I mean,
That's
they walked into there and they did their job, and they took care of business.
So yeah, that's solid. The big surprise was Matt Breida, right?
Well, then he fumbled though. I mean, I was like, yes, great.
I know.
Because me and you are big on him, right? So we love that he got in there and he did that. Nice first run, I think 15 yards, something touchdown. And then he comes out the next drive. They're like, we got to give him more opportunities.
Right.
We got to give him more opportunities. Looks great. But I mean, that's what happens when you don't play a guy the whole season, to me. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
I agree.
So
That
we
makes
can't
sense.
always, while yes, that's your main focus is controlling the ball. I still think what he showed on that run puts him right in the same level of Singletary and Moss as far as what, like the word I'm looking
Hierarchy.
for. Well, yeah, but just kind of like what they bring to the table, right? And
Sure.
So you kind of know what Singletary brings, you kind of know what Moss is bringing, and now you got him, and now it's like, okay, well, he could bring just as much, if not better, you would think,
Right.
So that's kind of my thoughts.
And speaking of fumbles, Singletary's fumbled 5 times on the season, so
Yeah.
they've just all been recovered.
I mean, there's no reason that Breida should be inactive anymore. I mean, you look around.
I agree with that. He was playing on special teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, not
well.
even just that. I mean, he played very well on special teams, filling in for whoever he had to fill in for. But you look around the NFL and you see what teams do when they don't have a solid number one back. They all have multiple backs. I mean, look at what Tennessee's doing.
Yeah.
They have Adrian Peterson, Deontay Foreman, and Jeremy McNichols in there, and they're all rotating carries. And then they're just riding whoever gets hot during the game. There's no
screwing
reason.
fantasy football owners over.
Yeah, well, sometimes fantasy has to take a back seat, but there's no reason the Bills shouldn't be doing that. Okay, Breida's having a bad game. All right, let's see what Singletary can do. Let's see what Moss can do. Okay, yeah, Moss every single run, he's breaking off 5-10 yard.
Yep.
There's no reason they shouldn't do that. I mean, it's not even just based off where the Bills are at. I mean, it's based off where the NFL is at right now. You don't need a solid starting number one back. You can rotate the guys because somebody will get hot. So there's no reason for the rest of the year that Breida should be inactive, because he showed you in this game he can be a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is faster than Singletary and Moss. I think he's a little bit more shiftier than Moss is, but I think Singletary still has that hip ability. But
yeah, Singletary has a nice cut.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we've talked about that a bunch of times. How Singletary does the Thurman Thomas cut that Thurman was famous for. The move right, cut left, move left, cut right, real quick, one step kind of thing.
Yeah. He just plants his foot in the ground and goes.
Yep. And Moss is much more of a you got to turn the key kind of thing to then you kind of got to push him and then he'll start going kind of thing. But Singletary does have that little extra burst that Moss does, and Breida just seems fast, right?
Mhm.
I mean that touchdown pass to Breida was really nice, I thought.
Yeah.
And the fact that he could catch it and looked very natural catching it,
Yeah.
really,
it looked
really
like him and
made
Josh had been
Right.
connecting all year.
right.
Like,
And especially when you talk about that, like the guys who try and catch their first passes from Allen usually drop the ball.
yeah.
Mhm.
Just because they're not used to it. But I mean, it looks so natural for Breida. I thought it was. Yeah, I think we're all, I guess, on the same page as far as him being dressed the rest of the season.
Yeah.
The other highlight for me, I think, was Spencer Brown coming back and just destroying people again over at right tackle. He showed how important he is, and how the Bills probably need a swing tackle who going in the future, next year. I think having a swing tackle is going to be one of those things where if Dawkins goes down, if Brown goes down, that they'll have someone capable to step in. Anything else about the line? Anything like that?
I mean, it was better than the Jags game. I mean, it makes me mad that Spencer Brown has to play for them to like be good, but I guess that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Thoughts, CJ?
When you made the comments about Singletary, the only thing that came to mind was with his speed, I just feel as though if he could like hesitate for one more second or whatever, like kind of like, I don't know if you remember Le'Veon Bell from 4
When he
years
was
ago.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. And he would do that hesitation before he'd get to the hole. Now he had burst and Singletary has burst, but I just feel like Singletary gets to the line a little bit too fast and things haven't developed yet.
Yeah.
And if you could just kind of, give it an extra second, I think that burst, if he could do that, would help him a lot more. Whereas I feel like his speed is kind of used against him right now. Just the way he runs, he goes right into the line and then he tries to move around. And I get that, but it doesn't seem to work out. So I don't know.
I think part of that is that the line isn't very good overall, right?
Yeah.
Especially when they're running the cuts inside.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how the difference between what a good running back does with a decent line to not so good line versus average running back with an average line. You know what I mean? So I think
I'd like to see Jonathan Taylor.
That's what I'm saying. I think good running backs
Yeah.
make the line look better. And I think
Right.
that's, pretty understood in the NFL today. But at the same time, you have places like San Francisco, where they pretty much any running back that goes there can produce because they've always had a good line. They always, you know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas, like you said, a guy like Taylor, I think put anywhere, or a guy like Henry put anywhere, is going to make your guys look a lot better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. That San Francisco makes running back a lot of money, including Matt Breida at some point, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
We got to give it up for the defensive backs, all getting a turnover, 4 interceptions and a fumble recovery. I think that was just fun. That part was just fun when you saw each one getting their interception. And
my wife and I are sitting on the couch, and they got the first interception when they went back to back, and then they got the second one, and she goes, "Man, he's really bad, huh?"
Yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah."
The locker room's not going to be chanting his name anymore.
I mean, he
Right?
stared down receivers I watched him stare at these guys that he was throwing to. And when you're a DB,
First overall pick mentality.
Amazing. Like that's ideal situation where you're a DB and the quarterback is following the guy he's throwing to the whole time. It's like, oh, perfect. I can,
I mean, I felt like every single time they intercepted him, like Jay Feely was like, yeah, they just looked at the quarterback's eyes and just, knew exactly where the ball was going to go.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I didn't hear him say that, but you're probably right. And that's kind of what I got too out of that. You know what I mean? It's just like, how easy of a job do you have when you can literally just stare and see where he's going to go based off where he's looking. Now, the great quarterbacks,
was
obviously.
on the Hyde interception and the
Hyde had a
Davis,
fumble.
or not Poyer, and the Tehran interception.
Yeah.
Where he said that, where he was like, he just looked right at Mike White the whole time and just
Davis, I think Corey Davis was the guy he was staring down the whole damn time, and then
Yeah, and then Davis got his garbage time yards, and
Joe Flacco
threw a touchdown. The elite Joe Flacco.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe they should roll with him until Wilson's active.
Would you roll with Mike White or with Flacco at this point?
I mean, didn't they hold Wilson out this week as kind of like, okay, let's see what White can do, or no? Did I misunderstand that?
Well, allegedly what they said was that Wilson wasn't 100%, and they didn't want to bring him back until he was truly 100%.
Yeah.
So
if that's the case, right, and he's 100% next week, you play Wilson. I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We were saying if there's if he's not, do you play White or Flacco?
Oh, if he's not 100%?
Yeah. If they don't play him.
You play White. I don't, at this point, I don't think you can. I think you've gotten what you've gotten out of Flacco. I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think they were actually saying that on the broadcast, that you need to know if Mike White's a good backup or not.
That's true.
Like if he can handle
Did you speaking of the Jets, did you see the Rex Ryan Saleh situation? I saw that last night. I was just dying laughing about it.
It was weird.
What
it
happened?
was strange. He came out, Rex Ryan was on some sort of radio show, and he just, you can tell he's getting it real upset about it. And he's like, people have said that I'm like Saleh and I'm nothing like Saleh. He had one good season with his defense being good, and he just like ripped Saleh apart and just like, you're not a good coach. You're 2-7, whatever. And then Saleh returned like, where I'm at. Like, you want to come pull up, I'm here basically is what Saleh said. And then his brother got chimed in too and was just like, you had a Mangini team that was already good. You did. And then once you lost those guys and you had all your guys that you drafted, your teams were terrible. And that's a very good point because, really, when he had his chance to make the team he didn't do a very good job as far as
it fell apart.
He got fired.
Yeah.
So and then came here. But
yeah, he got fired, and then the Bills were like, hey, who's a good decision?
Yeah. That's Wiley being Wiley, right? I mean,
splashy hire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Russ Brandon, right?
Yeah.
And stupid freaking Pagulas just must have just fell in love with him when he talked to him. You know what I mean? Because I remember when they first spoke, they were like, oh, they love him. And I'm like,
yeah.
Well, they also say that about every single coach they've hired for the Sabres.
Yeah,
too,
true.
Yeah.
Except,
but I think Terry just likes to talk hockey, right? So anyone who's knowledgeable about hockey and he could kick back with, right,
or enjoys it as much as
I would
he does.
Truly like to know Terry Pagula's hockey knowledge. Like if he's like the kind where he's like, oh, you know what a slap shot means, or he's like, oh, you can actually see how the game's all set up and that kind of stuff. Like if he's what level he's
like
at.
an X's and O's guy, or just outside,
or he's just like hockey.
Yeah, just on the surface. Like
my guess is he's more of like the fan side than the X's and O's. I mean, he runs all his other companies, right? So I mean, we know he's a smart businessman, and we know he's not an idiot.
Right.
I wasn't calling him an idiot. I was just wondering.
No, it's an interesting question.
The depth, of his knowledge,
and whether you could sit down with him and he can analyze stuff, like you said, or if he just gets enamored, right? And that may be why they've hired bad coaches, is because it's been about personality more than it's been.
And I feel like, speaking of Rex Ryan and like Russ Brandon, like I feel like one of the main things that led to Russ Brandon's downfall was Rex Ryan. Because when that didn't pan out and they
Doug
had to go
Whaley,
and they had to go
and-
back to the drawing board again.
Okay,
Well, Doug
so
was on his way out with the
yeah,
Pagulas.
I mean,
But there was
I
some behind
agree,
the scenes
but
stuff with Brandon going on.
if you
Yeah, I
look
know
at-
there was shady that stuff, but I feel like if you're looking at it, I feel like one of the things that started it
Yeah.
was the hiring of Rex Ryan, and then when he failed 2 years later.
Yeah.
Because for them to have to go back to the drawing board again when Rex Ryan was supposed to be touted literally as a guy to bring a Super Bowl to Buffalo, and Russ Brandon was in that office going, think about the ticket sales.
Yeah.
Think
but
about the money this can
he did
sell.
that. He did think about how many times he did that. He traded for Bledsoe. He
Yeah.
brought in Terrell Owens, right? I mean, they just Mario, right? They traded up for Watkins. I mean, all of that stuff happened under Brandon, and because Brandon's about marketing.
Yeah.
So he's like, we can market this, we can do this, and you'll sell out your games.
If you think about that stuff though, that also started at the beginning of the Pagulas ownership.
Yeah.
So there was probably a part of them that was like, this guy's from the old regime, let's trust him. And then all those stuff happened. And then, but I think that the final nail in the coffin was the Rex Ryan, because they were all gone.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean that, and I think the drafting over those years, right? And I want to say we were one of the lowest teams as far as how often we kept players, how long we kept players or whatever. Like we'd keep a player for maybe 2 years after drafting them, whereas good teams keep players, drafted players for a lot longer time. It's kind of a good indication of how good the team is, right? So or the upper management. And when you got people leaving after 2 years that you're just drafting, or 3 years, whatever that you drafted, it doesn't sit well with the fans. It doesn't sit well with, everybody involved. And so you look at that's the best way to, kind of analyze whether there have been a good GM or not, is how good the draft picks turn out. Right. And they were terrible.
Definitely. Yeah.
And, and I think that had a lot to do with them wanting to switch it up. If you read, if you see all that happening, it's like, okay, well, we kind of got to go in a different direction now.
Yeah. I guess you could say the same thing about the Sabres, since their cupboards were bare before Adams took over.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think what did it was with the Sabres, where they were like, we're condensing everybody, we're getting rid of everything, was Botterill. Because when Botterill was fired, you heard about how they would be like, do X, Y, and Z, and he would be like, that's not the way hockey is run. No. Or they would be like, go try to get this guy, and he would be like, I don't know. Like, so I think the constant back and forth where they're like, we're the owners, listen to us, and Botterill's going, well, that's not the way a hockey organization is run. I think that caused them to be like, okay, goodbye. Like, you're obviously not going to do it.
Yeah. Where there needs to be some balance.
Right.
Maybe Adams is a smooth enough talker where he can create that balance between building an organization. And
I mean, he's doing it so far. I mean, they're championing, we want players here who want to be a Buffalo Sabre.
Right. And you have that in a lot of ways.
And it's also coming from the Pagulas.
Right.
So it's a unified message of, we want players here who want to play for the Sabres.
Right. And you really get the same thing with the Bills, right? Because when McDermott and Bean came in, I mean, and cleared house, right? A lot of it seemed to be like they sat down with guys and were like, do you want to be here or not?
I mean, they did that with Darius.
Right.
And then we're like, okay, bye.
And everyone was like, why did they just cut Darius? And it was like, they were like, we felt like it.
Yeah.
And they were, I mean, and that's the kind of thing I think that's cool with them, is they're like, we're going to run this ship, and you got to trust us because it's our ship.
To me, Darius and Eichel were very similar players on both teams, right? And now I obviously, like, their physicality and all that other stuff is not what I'm referring to, but I just mean, like, both of them love to throw teammates and coaches and all that under the bus whenever given the chance. And so that never sat well with fans. So when we got rid of him, and even though he was such a high draft pick, a lot of people, if you followed Bills football, were kind of happy about it, didn't really care that much, Darius. And then, the Eichel situation, just following it, how much we followed it, like, because without you guys, I think I wouldn't probably have as much information on the situation as I do.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's two similar players where now that it's kind of been, once they're gone, it's almost like a relief, and a little bit of pressure's off of that situation. And I think that's helped. And so those two people, those two situations, while two different sports, are kind of similar, how they left and how they handled their time here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Just sort of a bad taste leaves your mouth when they're gone or something. I always say things backwards.
Good taste comes back, whatever. Yeah.
The good taste comes back.
Bad taste leaves. Okay. Yeah.
Bad taste leaves.
All right. Nice little tangent there.
That's a terrible analogy either way. So we'll just move on. So Colts coming up. Colts 4-game winning streak, right?
No. They're 3-1 in their last 4.
They're 3-1 in their last 4. So a 3-1 winning streak.
They are on a 2-game winning streak.
2-game winning streak. There we go. Carson Wentz appears healthy.
From spraining both ankles.
He's not Tua. I think we've seen that. With obviously, at least to me, the scariest thing about the Colts defense is really good, right? Or at least their front seven is really good.
Their run defense is really good.
Yeah.
Well, they've also come on in these past 4 weeks defensively. I mean, if you look at their defensive stats to start the year, they're all, up to now, almost all of their defensive stats, they're top 10 worst in the league. But that was because of their start. They lost 4 games in a row to start the year, 5 games in a row to start the year.
Right.
So now they're finally coming on. But in their past 4 weeks, the defense has allowed only 230 passing yards and 76 rushing yards per game. Now, the rushing yards one is a little bit skewed because you're playing teams like the Jets and the Jags. The Jags were without James Robinson.
Well, Henry was in there, but Henry got hurt, right? So I don't know if I can add that.
Yeah, he also had, you're right. Henry had 28 rushes on 68 yards. So take that for what you want. Tannehill threw for 265
that he played through.
Oh, did he play through it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, Tannehill also threw for 265 yards, and they lost 34-31. That was their one loss in the past 4 weeks.
And that was Baltimore?
No, that was against Tennessee.
The Colts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
field goal. Got it.
Yeah.
But they did allow Josh Johnson to throw for 317 yards. So
former Bill.
For a second.
Former half the league. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they played the 49ers, Tennessee, the Jets, and the Jags in their past 4 weeks. So, we can sit here and say that the defense is scary and all that stuff, but I think we also have to take about in who into account they played.
So it's the same thing as we were talking about with the offensive line, right? You can have a great offensive line and an average running back, or a great running back and an average offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends on how you want to do it.
Yeah,
but
I'm just saying. Only allowing 76 pass or 76.
Yeah, they haven't faced a prolific pass offense yet, right? So,
right.
I think our passing offense is premier, one of the best in the league. So, if going up against us, it's a totally different ball game than what they've had in those past 4 weeks. Which I think is what you're getting at, Noah. But
so I think the most important piece of this week is just not allowing them to get to Josh by just rushing 4. Yeah. Right. That's the way of the league right now, right?
You have to keep him upright. You have to give him time.
Right.
Because if he doesn't have time, he's going to get all scrambly like he was against the Jags.
Right. But the way of, like I said, the way of the league is just rushing 4, dropping everyone else back and saying, beat us underneath, right? And I mean, we've pounded this home, I think, in almost every game because every team has done it to the Bills. Because they took it from Tampa, who did it to Kansas City in the Super Bowl, right? So, then you just have your teams who come out and it doesn't work, right? So, either
the Jets tried to do that, and Josh just
and the Jets
picked
have
them
a
apart.
fairly talented defensive line. It's just all the other players.
Yeah.
But I think,
having a rookie on Stephon Diggs, smart.
Right. I think with who were you talking about earlier? Buckner.
Yeah.
Right. With Buckner up front being a pass rusher in the middle, that's a little scary. Do we even think the Bills should try to establish a run, or should they just go out and bomb it? I feel like we asked this question.
I know. I'm the old school. I'm the old school, right? I'm very old school. I feel as though you have to establish some sort of running game, or at least try to keep the defense honest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're just going to throw the whole game, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it could work, but at the same time, success in the NFL, to me, no, I could be wrong, but to me has been driven by a good mixture of passing and running the ball. Even the Chiefs, you consider, okay, they pass a lot, or the Rams, they pass a lot, but for the most part, with Darrell Henderson and Darrell Williams, they've both been really good. So, you know what I mean? Like you can say that they're really good passing offenses, but at the same time, their running backs do a good job for them. So,
right. So speaking of running backs, let's go into, I think, the scariest part for our defense. The Chiefs running backs, starting with
the Chiefs running backs.
Yeah, that's definitely the scariest part for the Bills this week is the Chiefs running backs. The Colts running backs, used to be a three-headed monster. Now it's just a one-headed monster in Jonathan Taylor. So do we feel like they have the muscle to stop him? I mean, what are they going to do? They're just going to pound through those defensive tackles and say, stop us, right?
And I think I hope you're getting Edmonds back. But I mean, I think for this game, I think you're going to have to go 3 linebackers and you're going to have to play Klein.
It's possible. I mean, both of your safeties are really good run stoppers, right?
Yeah, but you also can't allow them to use Michael Pittman and Jack Doyle to beat you over the top either. I think if you're going with the 3 linebacker set, you're really depending on the defensive line to step up like they have been. I mean, Ed Oliver, doesn't make a name on the stat sheet against the Jets, but he was there. He was applying pressure.
Yeah,
he was
3
in
games
the backfield
in a row for Oliver. He's been really good.
Phillips didn't look terrible, but Groot had another great game. Basham made a couple plays. You have guys there on the defensive line where if they're able to step up and keep going the way that they're going, you should be able to stop Taylor. And then you have AJ Klein out there who's all of a sudden your best coverage back for short yards passing and running. Like, when did this happen? He was all over the field on Sunday.
It was
in
great
place
to
of
see.
Edmonds.
I mean, I think that was one thing we were really nervous about was whether he had the agility enough, and that kind of stuff to cover the field. And he can't cover the field like the way Edmonds does, but he brings a different kind of mentality to that position.
If he's able to make the play, he can.
Right.
Like, he won't, but he also won't overdo it, where it's like if the play is on the opposite side of the field, he's not going to take himself out of position to try to make a play that's not there. Like, he'll just go down the field knowing just in case. Because I did see that a couple times where it was like the Jets would throw something short and it wasn't by him. And they kind of seemed to start doing plays away from him at a certain point too.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning, his name was all over the place and then he cooled off. but
Yeah.
it kind of also seemed they were putting runs and passes to that side. But I did notice a lot where he wouldn't go directly to the ball. He would kind of like go back up and be like a safety just in case like they break the tackles of, the 3 DBs that are there. He doesn't he knows what his speeds, he knows his limitations, and that's really good to have on your team, especially at the linebacker position, having somebody like that.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
Because it took
Matakevich
Edmonds a
or?
long time to do
No, we're
that.
talking about Klein.
Oh,
It took Edmonds
okay,
till probably
yes,
halfway
yeah.
through last year to figure that out, to figure out what his limitations are and what he can do.
And then get him
Yeah.
how they can use him effectively.
Right.
But once they figured it out, they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean they're
Right.
doing it now, and he's awesome.
Yeah. So what do you think, CJ? They go 3 linebackers, or I mean, you're pulling Taron Johnson off the field.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think honestly, like I like Taylor a lot, but to me, he's not a Derrick Henry yet, right? So he's
Mhm.
not to the point where you need to change up your defensive strategy so much to just take him away. The ideal situation would be that the 4 big guys up front give him a hard time, slow him down, and then everybody else can help wrap him up, whatever. But it just seems like similar to Henry, where he breaks off a 70-yard gain, every couple games or whatever, once a game type. So, ideally you got those 4 guys and you put your bigger guys up front and they can just block those run lanes and make him have to go outside. He's, to me, from what I've seen him, when I've seen him play, he's a north-south guy. He doesn't really try to beat you to the edge. And don't get me wrong, like he's good, but I just, so you got to get somebody in there to block that center of that field up, and it's where he eats a lot right up the middle. So, I mean, you got Hines too. Hines is a little bit worries me a little bit in the passing game, but
Yeah. Hines is their receiving back, right?
Yeah.
But he's gotten what? I think he had 3 touches last game. I mean, I think they're going with Taylor on 3 downs at this point.
Yeah.
So you're sticking with 2 linebackers and that kind of thing. I mean, I guess Edmonds' health also kind of plays into this, because if Edmonds can't fly from one end of the field to the other,
doing
then
what you did last week, and you're running with Milano and Klein,
right,
because I'm not
putting.
We're
We're not putting any of the
Smith.
We're not putting any of the other linebackers in.
Yeah,
honestly, I mean Dodson, Matakevich, any of those guys, I don't think you want trying to stop this.
Right, because I mean, if Edmonds out, you're putting in Milano and Klein again. You're putting in 2 guys who know the defense like the back of their hand. I mean, Klein, doesn't play 100% of the snaps, but he has to know the defense for when he does get his moments.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that the backups don't know, but you're also going to trust. You also will have to trust those guys to make calls, to do the switches and that kind of stuff, and just leave it to Klein and Milano at that point.
Yeah, I saw Milano doing a lot of talking on the field against the Jets. I thought that was interesting. It was something I hadn't seen a whole lot of.
It's probably because Edmonds wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, they may have given the calls to Milano, but it was just something I noticed a couple of times. I was like, hey, he's really moving guys around and shifting guys, and I didn't remember him doing that. And I mean, you don't see Edmonds doing that a lot either, which is interesting.
Well, they also didn't do that. I mean, the last game where I remember seeing something like that was against the Chiefs, where they were really trying to move the line around and trying to do that. So it could be a new wrinkle that they're trying to add to the defense.
Yeah.
Because I feel
it worked against the Jets,
yeah,
right? So whatever they were doing.
But I mean, look at what Tennessee does. Tennessee does that stuff. They move their linemen
all the time.
Yeah. So maybe they looked at that Tennessee game and were like, we could probably do that.
Yeah. Leslie Frazier, the evolving genius.
Yeah.
So is Jack Doyle the biggest threat here?
No, Pittman.
Pittman's the biggest threat
for their passing game. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say Pittman.
Are we afraid of Carson Wentz?
I'm not, but I mean, I don't think anybody in the defense is either. I do think he can make plays on the run, and that's where you got to limit him. You know what I mean? Don't let him get out the pocket and make a deep throw.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a hand on him, you get him down.
That's a good point. I think the Bills, to me, I think the Bills, the most important piece to this game is the Bills' defensive tackles. That's what it comes down to.
100%.
I think also tackling.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like they gotta, when they get a hand
Exactly.
on
Taylor,
yep.
Wentz, whatever, they gotta come down.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean they're riding high. Three out of their last 4 they've won. So you're getting a team that seems to be getting hot. Like I said.
Yeah, you're playing them at the worst time. I think in the beginning of the season you weren't as worried as you are now.
I mean, you can say their opponents are bad, but we've seen from this year
it just gives
that
confidence. It doesn't even matter if their opponents are bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
week to week, right? Any given Sunday.
Still allowing 230 per game in the past 4 weeks is impressive, no matter who the quarterback is
in the NFL.
So,
So I wanted to talk about the Chiefs, since Paul isn't here, and we can have an objective conversation.
Nice.
So they kind of manhandled.
But is Las Vegas that good though?
They're good enough.
They were first in the division, right?
Right.
Yeah, but were they pretenders? I mean,
they always feel like pretenders to me.
Yeah.
Like every year they feel like, but I mean,
yeah,
I mean, you go through that much dysfunction and continue to play how you've been playing, though.
Right. You have to have like a room of
your leaders have to be on the field.
Yeah.
Not on the sideline.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You just can't have your sideline guys making it worse, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, I think of Gruden in the same way I think of Rex Ryan, right? They belong on TV and not in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the Raiders' schedule, I mean, they beat the Ravens to start the season, but
that's huge.
Won by 9 against the Steelers, won by a field goal against the Dolphins, then lost 2 straight to the Chargers and the Bears.
Speaking of pretenders, are the Chargers for real or no?
Man, through a couple weeks ago, I thought so, but the more I don't know. Herbert is not playing.
It's like something's
as well
not clicking.
As did last year. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Josh isn't playing as well as he did last year. But it's still MVP,
I would prefer to have
MVP
the
level,
over,
right?
the Chargers.
Yeah. Especially with
their defense is. I think their defense is just really bad. I just think that the defense can't stop anybody.
Yeah,
and that was shown in that Baltimore game. That was shown. Who they play last week? Or they lost, right?
They won against the Eagles, but only by 3.
No, that wasn't last week. Eagles played Denver. Who they
Vikings?
Yes, they lost to the Vikings, and the Vikings scored a lot of points last week. I'm sorry, So losing, they got, as far as I know, Minnesota was up pretty much the whole game, and then
they seem to have it in hand, right?
Yeah, and then the Philly, you thought Philly was my pick of the week 2 weeks ago, or not Philly, Chargers against Philly. I thought the Chargers would blow them out. It would be, and I think they won by 3 points. And it's like, no, this is not. If you're going to lead the AFC and going to be one of the best teams in the AFC, you're not going to come out and barely beat the Eagles on the last drive. That's just,
I mean, they had to come out and beat the Browns in overtime, or whatever. And that game was a few weeks ago, and it was 47 to 42,
right now,
and they let the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns are a mess.
For
like you look at messes of teams and how teams have fallen apart midseason, and it's like they're one of those teams that you're looking at like, okay, Chargers have done bad, but Cleveland has done worse. And it's,
they're not calling for their quarterback to be done.
Yeah, well, exactly. They move on from Mayfield. I was surprised when I saw that, but
Are they saying that for real?
Yeah. No, that was a major
They're saying
story.
it's time.
Isn't he
Yeah.
hurt? I
Time
mean,
to look for somebody else.
holy cow.
Well, same thing with that Odell
He's
situation.
so
I thought
tough.
he tore both his shoulders out, Odell, and then gets
Mhm.
traded, and he's like fine. And it's like, was he really hurt in Cleveland, or was he just like, I don't understand, making up excuses
Sandbagging
for
it?
why he didn't call
Yeah.
some ball? I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
he
it was a
said
little
that
tangent, but-
according Lisa Salters last night on the game, said that OBJ never wanted to leave Cleveland, and he never honestly thought that,
Well, of course
he
he's
would
going to say
be-
that, right?
you know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Worked out for the Rams considering Robert Woods went
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it worked out so well for them last night too.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't involved. I think he played 16 snaps or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like for him, I thought Green Bay was going to be the best place just because of this quarterback, the situation, and that the looks would be there. Obviously, now with that Woods being hurt, I think that they're kind of even now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like for potential. So for him, I'm happy. I hope he does well. So the reason why I'm an OBJ fan and the reason why I like to follow everything is because when he played his rookie year, he was out, I want to say 7 to 8 games. So he didn't play. I think it was a hamstring issue. And I had some sort of faith in him in fantasy, and I grabbed him the 1 year. I think I went on to win the championship with him, but he just went on a tear for the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks of the season. And he was just incredible. I think Victor Cruz got hurt that year, and then Odell. So I just always had this thing for him. I've always really, following him from the beginning. I'm very similar with Antonio Brown because back when they had Sanders, Wallace, and Brown, he was like the third guy for a few years. And then they made the decision to get rid of Wallace, and then Brown kind of took over. And I've been following, and as much as I hate some of his antics and stuff, it's hard. Like I've watched him since nobody knew about him. Yeah, since nobody knew about him, and I'm just like, I love it. You know what I mean? And then they go off, and then they have this huge, and you always kind of just feel that connection. I don't know if it's just fantasy or whatever, but you always kind of just believed in them before everybody else knew, and it just makes you feel like you have some connection. So like those two guys, regardless of their off-field antics, I always like to see do well.
That's cool. You have anyone like that, Noah?
Well, I mean, like Allen, but like I don't know if that counts.
He doesn't have off the field antics though. I mean,
yeah.
Oh well, I mean like guys like that I feel like connected to. I mean like I like to
Austin Eckler.
I like to see the Seahawks. I like Russell Wilson.
I hate Pete Carroll. You like Pete Carroll?
But I like Wilson.
Okay. I hate Wilson too.
Like my love
like
for Wilson makes up for Pete Carroll for me because I know he's a cranky old man, and he's probably going to be fired within the next 2 seasons. So
2 games. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, sorry.
Go back to USC.
I saw a rumor today that speaking of USC and coaching, that Lincoln Riley might be leaving Oklahoma to be the next head coach of LSU.
No way. No way.
That he had a meeting with the boosters.
That would be a ridiculous
scared
decision for him to do that
because they think he's going to be poached by LSU. And it's going to happen.
LSU fires their coach like every 3 years, no matter who it is, and no matter what they
Lincoln
do.
Riley.
Is Orgeron still there?
He's done.
He's done, but do they have another coach in place?
I don't think so.
No.
So they want to do what USC's doing, and they want to go big name hire again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good luck.
Yeah.
Where USC is supposedly targeting Tomlin.
No.
No,
they're not though. It's
a joke.
What's his name? Jeff. Come on.
Well, Tomlin's also never leaving that job unless he gets fired.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the most stable jobs in all of football. 4 coaches in their entire franchise history.
I mean, that he's almost like a legend at this point. A black African-American coach, right, makes him a legend by himself with that reason, how long he's been there. And not just that, but just the success he's had and the amount of years he's been there consistently. Just it's like
Yeah.
You don't ever see him go anywhere. It's a
Right.
Belichick situation where it's just, they're till they dissolve the
He
franchise,
either has to
they'll be
do
involved.
poorly,
Right.
like yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, yeah, and even the seasons he has where they're off or
Yeah, but that's
People
been
are like, oh, we might
Roethlisberger
get
being
fired. They're
hurt
like,
or
"Nah."
whatever. Yeah.
right.
So it's like never on him. You know what I mean? So like even
Yeah.
when you had Mason Rudolph starting the whole year, everybody's like, oh, it's just because Mason Rudolph was starting.
Right. Right.
I will say this: I
mean,
don't know
though-
if he picks good offensive coordinators. Like I'm
Yeah,
never
they've
sold
gone
on his
he's
offensive
gone through a
coordinators.
lot.
Yeah. So I don't know who's doing that decision making, but that's probably the only knock on him, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting when you look at the coaches who've been in place for a long time, like the Pete Carroll and like the Belichicks and like the Tomlins of the league. Like it's funny to hear what you just said, CJ, because I feel like every single time these coaches have a bad season, there's always a reason.
Oh yeah.
Like Belichick's bad season last year, first year without Brady.
Yep.
He had to go through a whole new offense with Cam. Cam isn't Brady. That was their excuse. Oh, and also half of their defense sat because of COVID.
I mean,
That's
have
Belichick's excuse.
we heard anything about Reed this year?
About who?
Andy Reid? Have we heard anything about him?
No.
No.
Has it been on Mahomes? Has it been on the defense? Has it been on Sorensen? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's been on all those guys, but it's never on the coaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know. If
never
that's
on
just-
the coaches until the fans say something.
Yeah.
That's true.
When the fans are sitting there in the streets with pitchforks saying, "Why have you not fired this guy yet?"
That is the
Then
GM
that's-
trying to save
that's
his
when
ass. You know what I
But-
mean?
Big gear.
Yeah.
But back to CJ, back to your point, that's happened with Tomlin numerous times with his offensive coordinator.
Mhm.
Where fans are charging the streets with pitchforks and saying this offense isn't working, and
Yeah.
they still go far or in the
Around.
playoffs and make the playoffs and go home. It's one of those things where your fans get spoiled.
Yeah.
Well, and Roethlisberger, and also nobody wants to accept the notion that Roethlisberger is either going to retire after this season or next, and he's literally one hard hit away from retiring anyway.
I think
mean,
people
they-
are accepting it. I think they just don't have
they don't have a starting quarterback on their roster.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, they should have
That
done that
doesn't
this year.
mean that-
I agree.
That doesn't mean that as they don't need a rookie necessarily.
Well,
but if Roethlisberger retires after this year, you're losing that year where the rookie could have sat under Roethlisberger.
yeah.
Okay, but you can bring in, you can do the same thing. You can draft a guy and bring in someone who
That's not the
knows
same.
Matt Canada or knows knows the offense.
It's not the same though. Just bringing in any Joe Schmo that knows Matt Canada's offense versus having a Hall of
I'm not
Fame
saying Joe Mo. I'm just
winning
saying there are
MVP level
guys out there.
quarterback.
Yeah, I think to Noah's point, it's just the fact of what you see sustained success in the NFL, right? And sustained success does not come from stopgap quarterbacks. It comes from drafting quarterbacks and having them develop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, look at Bridgewater. I mean, how long have I been saying that Bridgewater is going to play just well enough to keep Fangio's job, and now that's falling apart.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold lost his job, and he's hurt. Like, yeah, I agree with CJ. I don't think he can. They should have. I see what you're saying about them accepting it, but they're accepting it now. They won it going into the season. The fans did. The fans knew it. Everybody else.
It's
knew
hard
it
for me to say that
3
they don't
years.
have something in place or numerous scenarios on a board somewhere that say, here's what we can do, right? Because this draft is not strong in quarterbacks.
Right.
And you knew that last year.
But last year's draft was.
Last year's draft was okay.
So you could have taken. I don't know. It just felt like they were like Roethlisberger's coming back and we're not going to mess with it because he's coming back and we don't have to deal with the quarterback situation for a year. But in that sense, they have shot themselves in the foot because if Roethlisberger does retire after this year, you're losing that unless he comes back as a coach. And if he doesn't,
He's not coming back as a coach.
yeah.
That's not him.
So
That sounds like a very Pittsburgh thing to do, though.
It
does.
Maybe for a different player, but I don't see that in Roethlisberger's DNA.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, it's been a fun show. Yeah, I mean, a little different than our normal shows, kind of a roundtable-ish kind of thing, but you know, we got through all the important pieces and added in some fun stuff. Got through rapid fire.
1-0 Sabres.
1-0 Sabres.
Colin Miller, 27 seconds into the second period.
All right.
Let's go.
That's right. That's right. Go Sabres. Go Bills.
I almost want to say Huda every time you say that someone scored, but it probably would get old after a while.
He's a defenseman. Number 33.
Watch a game.
I do. I still can't figure out who's who.
We'll help you out. We're still here. We're still here.
I gave you credit for the hockey. It's without yous, I probably would have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you guys for watching to the end. You know, as always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video, please. Or if you didn't, I don't know, leave us a thumbs down. Just get us interactions. I don't really care.
Our website, Gameday716.com. You can subscribe there.
There's also merch coming very soon. Be on the lookout for that. But as always, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out.